Hello and good morning and welcome. I'm Cheryl and we have a fantastic guest, Sharon Templeton from Better Website Design from Brisbane. Hello to Virtual Coffee, Sharon. How are you doing?
Great, Cheryl. Thanks for asking me to join you this morning.
No, you're very welcome and happy new year to you and everyone else that's listening. This is our first virtual coffee of the year on in the Growth Hub and it's a fantastic topic because I know everyone, particularly last year, with everyone going online and really focusing on their online presence and all of that, understanding this, this three-letter, I was going to say word acronym,
Acronym, yeah.
for SEO. So we're going to talk about, Dummy's Guide to SEO, and in particular, what are the top 5 ways that we can really boost the SEO of our website and why that's so important as well. So I'd love for you to be able to share with us some of your knowledge around it and how our audience, and particularly some of our clients in business, what they can do, like from the get-go, to look at how to really utilize this asset that they have, which is their website.
Excellent, Cheryl. Look, thanks so much. And it is, 3 small letters, but it means it has such a big impact potentially on how effective your website and your online presence is. So as you said, with a lot of people sort of rushing to get an online presence up and running in 2020, given what we all faced, I think there was probably less attention given to this than, is ideal. But at its core, SEO is really the connection between your customers and your business. So if you haven't given it the right attention or given it any attention at all, and you're thinking what a website is just an online business card effectively, then you're really missing out. Because if you're not using, say, the customer's voice and putting words onto your website in the same expression that your customers are using to search for you, you're not going to get found. Search engines are really, they're evolving and they're really clever, but they are at the end of the day computers. So I think, I was working with a client recently in the health and wellness space, and she was wanting to use terms like health empowerment. Now, what she is a health coach, and that's what people are searching for, health coaching. They're not searching for health empowerment. Yeah.
Okay. And so what was it? Let's step back into Dummy's Guide SEO 101. What is SEO and why, I'm sure you hear this all the time. People who have websites, I haven't done anything to my website, and I'm sure that makes you cringe.
Well, I just think it's leaving money on the table at the end of the day. I mean, I get it. Everyone in business is busy, and, SEO can be a really complicated topic to understand.
Yeah.
Often that's the first thing that you put to the side when you're in business. You've got so many things to do that the one that seems really hard is the one that you just ignore. So at its core, though, that's what SEO is. SEO is about getting your
I've got
pages.
People.
You've got a person coming.
Little people coming in. Hello. This is life with little children.
It is.
Okay.
We'll be lucky if we don't get someone walking behind me soon. So what SEO is, though, is about getting your businesses in front of your customers. So it is about the words that you use on the page. It is about where they're used on your website. It's about how often they're used. And it's about what you call each of your pages. So you need to have done the research to know what words to use. Otherwise, you're really just taking a stab in the dark. And if you're not getting that right, you can have the prettiest website up and running, and no one will see it.
Yeah.
It's like having the prettiest shop in the corner of a backwood. No one's going to come past.
And no one knowing that it's there. So how do we work out what, search engine optimization is, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's let's just say it's Google's way of having these little what I had crawlers, little things that go around to, when someone pops in the search bar, when we have to Google something. So like you said, health coach, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to be the first website that pops up when someone's searching health coach
That's it.
or health and wellness or whichever? So the
Yeah.
importance is mainly to be able to help people find you a lot easier.
That's it. And I think it comes back to this search engines like Google, and if we just use Google as an example because it's one of the more popular ones, but these things apply to all the other engines like Bing, Internet Explorer, all that sort of thing. What they're trying to do is give their users the best results possible, so the most relevant results. And the only way they can do that is to look at your page, look at your website and say, what's this website about? And to do that, they look at the words, they look at the images. And so then they'll look at, say, some of the off-page, what we call metadata. And if that has the same sort of words around the images as the ones that are on the page, they're more inclined to think this is a page or a website about health coaching. And so they will deliver that when someone types up, I'm looking for a health coach.
Yeah.
There are other aspects that go into good search engine optimization because search engines are also looking for, page loading speed, ease of use. So there's site navigation and site mapping, making things really simple to navigate around, and keeping things relevant and current. So if you set up a website in 2017 and you've done nothing to it since, it doesn't show Google and the other search engines that business is giving it a lot of love, or that business has been given a lot of love, and it might not, that will count against you.
All righty. So let's dive into the top 10 ways that we can really boost the SEO on our website that people can take away from today and go, all right, I need to give my website a little bit of loving, because it's sitting there is not really doing me any good. And in this age of digital marketing, we've got to be able to do a bit more with our websites. All righty.
Exactly. Okay.
So over to you.
It is a massive topic, so thanks again for having me on. But what I'm going to do is just look at 5 top tips for today. One we've already touched on, which is knowing your customer's voice. So that's what, if you've done any research on SEO and tried to figure out what it is, that might be referred to as keywords or search terms. Number 2 is to make your site easy to use. So that comes back to that navigation and site mapping sort of issue that you might read about. Number 3, keeping it simple. And I'm trying to do this in life more and more, but that's to have a focus for every page or article on your website. You just focus that page on one search term that you're targeting. Number 4 is about getting connected. That's about creating your online footprint. And number 5 is to go the distance. And that's about continuing to give that website some love.
Let's start with the first point of understanding your customers. And I know, in previous sessions, in terms of marketing, we've gone through this quite a bit, but it comes down as to your keywords as well, isn't it?
It really does, and that's where we start in our digital agency. Each and every time we start, before we do any page setup, before we look at colors, logos, anything like that, we figure out what the search terms are going to be that are going to be the most relevant and find your ideal customers. And if you can do that, then the rest will flow, because it really needs to go into the site structure. So the page titles, the indexes, the menus, and then the content, importantly. But look, there's lots of different ways to do it. We use a lot of paid subscriptions to do this, but we also start with Google itself. So if you're happy, I will do a screen share
page. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So let me just make sure I'm sharing the right screen. There we go. Share. So one of the ways we do this at the start, you can see I've been doing some practice ones. Roof tiling might be something that you do as a business. And so you're trying to figure out what search terms you need to put onto or are most relevant to that job. And we can take a step back. When you put roof tiling into your Google search bar up there, you'll see a bunch of suggestions down here. This is what Google thinks you might be looking for. So they're going to deliver up to you the most common searches that include the phrase roof tiling. And from that, you can start to gather different search terms and put together a list of things that might be relevant. For example, roof restoration. It's a course, but roof restoration might be something that is a separate search term that people are looking for. So you can do this to start your list. You know, if you're an avid DIYer and you want to do SEO yourself, this is one way to start. So you've got roof tiling as a starting point. You might have gathered some other suggestions from here. Also have a look down here under the people also ask.
Yeah. So in terms of keywords, and this is what I've learned in my basic SEO, like it's not just about a singular word, it's also the types of questions that people ask.
That's exactly right. And, you know, the short answer is that as a small business, the more words you have, keyword is really a bit of an anomaly. It's a shorthand way of referring to a key phrase. And you sometimes will read about them being short tail or long tail, and that really just goes into how many words are in that phrase. So if, for example, we go back to the search results here, you'll see in the questions, is roof tiling a good job? Well, that's not going to be someone who's looking to buy services from a roof tiler. But, you know, how much should roof tiles overlap? Maybe. Down the bottom, you're likely to get some more roof restoration course. This is not a great example, but those questions often bring up the questions that you can put the phrase into. So the phrase might be roof tiling. That has a good search volume, maybe, you know, 5,000 searches a month, for example, and you want to work that into your website. You don't want to just put a page up there that says roof tiling, roof tiling, roof tiling, roof tiling. That's useful to no one. And the Google bots know that, so they won't deliver that page up to someone who's looking for information on roof tiling services.
The Google bots know it.
They know everything. They know too much.
They do. Let's not go there.
No.
And so let's just talk about keywords for a moment. Like, what if someone's wanting to do a little bit of SEO themselves and have a look at their website? Like, what's the list look like at minimum? How many keywords and key phrases in total should we be putting together?
I think it really depends on how many pages you want to have. So ideally, for each page that you have on your website, you'll have one target phrase. So then it's so you can start with a list of maybe 10 to 20 or 20 to 50, depending on how much time you have, because it does all take time to go through and do this. But then you need to sort of narrow that down to maybe 5 to 10 keywords. For that example, if we were looking at roof tiling, and I've got an example, sorry, I won't show you that example yet, but you'll find words that have roof tiling in it. So phrases that have roof tiling in it might be roof tiling services, emergency roof tiling repairs, that sort of thing. Those are all related keywords or key phrases, and you'll group them together. Now you need to pick one of them to be your main keyword for each page. Yeah. So that's why it really depends on how many pages you're going to have. If you have if you're going to have, say you've got 3 main business areas, then you'd have one main keyword for each business area, which is the one. And how you decide that is really balancing up a number of factors. How many people are searching for that phrase? How competitive is it? You know, if you type that into Google, how many results come up? What do the other pages look like? What are the services being offered? Can I compete in that market? So that just comes back to basic sort of business analysis.
So does that mean that each keyword, it's just a matter of having it on that page, or is there something special that you need to do in the background?
A little bit of both. So yes, definitely have it on the page. Once you've determined that your main keyword, say, is roof tiling services, for example, that would be the title of your page. It will be in the first sentence, it'll be in the last sentence, and then it'll be scattered about on that page. But you'll also put it into your metadata. So the images that you add to that page, you'll call them roof tiling services. their file name, their alt image text. That's the off-page stuff. So there's on-page SEO and then there's the off-page SEO.
Okay. Okay. So it's good that you might have some content that you've got on your website, but we've still got a little bit of work to do in the background.
Indeed, indeed. And if you confuse too many terms, so you don't want to, as I said, fill each page with your main keyword too much, because that looks sort of spammy, and Google will think there's something fishy going on here. They're trying to scam us. You want to find those related terms and things that go with that topic naturally. If you're talking about roof tiling, you might talk about the cost of tiling, different types of tiles, the styles of them, all that sort of thing. So you'd support that main keyword with other related terms and scatter them about. But ultimately what you want to do is serve up great content.
Yeah.
So think of your customer, think of your consumer, what do they want to know, and just speak to that.
All righty. So let's move on to number 2, which I have to write it down. I should write it down.
Number 2 was just making your site easy to navigate.
Yes. Yes.
So this is more about the structure, and there are some, it's easier when you have a small website to navigate around it, but as it grows and you maybe target more keywords to get more traffic to your website, more customers knowing about your business, it can become a little bit unwieldy if you don't have a plan from the start. So there are sort of 3 main considerations that I think people should give some thought to before they start a website, or if you have one, that you might consider sort of restructuring. So the first is to think of it like a book. Each page or each title in your menu up the top will be a chapter. Each chapter will have a separate topic. So for example, I'll show you one if that's okay.
Yeah.
Screen share. This one. So if you have a look at this up the top, it has its different categories, so different chapters, really easily set out. And then under this one, for example, it has all of the subcategories. So I haven't done this research on roofing, as much as I've talked about it today. I haven't done it. But under each of these, I can pretty much guarantee you that skylights will be a search term they're targeting, roof restoration will be a different term. So they've got a really easy to follow structure. If I'm a customer going on there, I can see what I want and get there in ideally 3 clicks or less.
Yes.
That's what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Look, and the second part of that then is having a great call to action. That's really easy to find. Here they've got the Call Us Now button, Shop Online Now button. The Call Us button will likely on mobile go straight through to your phone. So it's really easy to use. And they're right at the top of the page. So no one has to scroll anywhere. People are getting less and less likely to scroll as they go on. So that's the first sort of 2 considerations. And the third is just to make sure that your website is mobile friendly. So most websites built now are, but you still do get the odd one, even a couple of years old, that when you go to look at it on mobile, even my fingers, which aren't that big, can't hit the buttons without hitting 3 other things around it.
Yeah.
I can't read the text, it's too small, or it's a really light color.
All right. So getting, laying out your website well so it's easy to navigate and thinking methodically through, if you were the user and you were the person landing on it, what are the main things that you want to see?
Exactly. And when you're doing that research at the start to figure out what the search terms are, and you go to the Google search and you look at those, what questions people are asking, related search terms, that can start to give you ideas about what do I need to include on my website. What are the questions that people have? So what should I answer?
Excellent. All righty. Step 3, let's move through.
Okay, excellent. Step 3 is about keeping it simple. Now, this comes back to what we've touched on previously, which is about having each page just focus on one main search term. Don't try and overstuff it, because it just confuses the bots. They're a little bit like 3-year-olds, if you keep your instructions and your directions simple, they'll get it. If you start adding in too many different terms, they think, oh, I don't know what this page is about. Is it about roof tiling? Is it about roof restoration? Oh my God, they've mentioned plumbing. Or is it about plumbing? I don't know. So it's just about keeping it really simple, and, as I said, focusing your efforts on one thing. As I said, that example that I showed you before is a really good one, and they've done it really well to separate out the different services that they do provide. And if you click on any one of those, so roof inspections, you'll see that that's the title. They've got roof inspection in the heading there, and there'll be roof inspection, if you have a look through here, scattered about all through that page. They haven't quite done it the way we've done it, but it's a pretty good job too. So it's pretty clear to the bots when they do crawl it, and you're right, they've got their little algorithm that crawls the pages. They'll know what that page is about, and if someone's looking for roof restoration, that's going to be one of the ones that comes up first.
Right. So I've noticed if you go back to that roofing website, and you see, their services, they've got, a good half a dozen services and all of that. I've often seen websites where they might have their services all in one page, and you just scroll to the very, very end. Right. Is it advisable to do one sort of page for each service?
It is. I mean, this is an example of what you're talking about, Cheryl. This is effectively one page. They do have other items up here in the main menu, but the FAQ page has nothing that actually works. I'm hoping this website is under renovation, but everything that they have is on this one page, and it's not particularly well laid out. It's not easy to read. I can't imagine that on mobile this is easy to see at all. So yeah, it is not ideal to have all of your services crammed into one page, because it's hard to work out what the overall theme of that page is, and that's what the Google bots are doing, or the algorithms are doing when they're searching your page.
Okay, wonderful. So, right, so we've got to keep it simple and as best as possible, keep one theme to each page.
Yes. Okay. One main service. And so there are different ways to do that. I mean, if you've only got a limited budget at the start, you've got 10 different services you want to offer. How do you decide which ones you target? So one of the ways we find that really helps is to get people to focus on what's most profitable. So if they have different services, some of which they make more money on than others, spend the time and the money at the outset on the ones that make you more money. That makes sense. Second is, it might be the services that you really love doing. If that's what you want more business, coming to your door through, do that. And lastly, working with us as SEO consultants or anyone like us, you can look at what people are most interested in. So, for example, in the appliance repair space, washing machine repairs is by far the most searched for term, which is why, some sites will only focus on washing machine repairs. Obviously, there's lots of other appliances that need repair and servicing, but there's less people looking for them.
Yeah. Got it. So let's keep it simple and clean.
Yeah.
So not only for your audience, but for the search bots to understand it easily as well.
Exactly.
And so on to number 4.
Number 4 was about making connections. So, and as in life, connections online are really healthy, really worthwhile doing. This is really, and there's a lot to this, there's things like backlink building and guest posting, but at its, the simplest thing to do for a smaller business is to make sure that your website isn't the only place your business shows up online. The search engines are looking to weed out all of those scammy websites that used to be pretty prevalent on the web. The ones that will end up, you'll get emails from here to eternity about all sorts of things. They're looking for websites that are legitimate businesses. So the best way to show them that you've got a legitimate business is to have
Oh, here's
your
another one.
have your details, your website with your business names on, your business address, but then add things like a Google My Business listing, or put it in yellow pages, white pages, industry specific directories. So in the health and wellness space, there's natural therapy pages, and just make sure that your listings are all consistent. And by that I mean this: if you've got a plumbing business and on your website it's called Bob's Plumbing, on Google My Business it's called Bob and Co, and then on Facebook it's called Bob's Plumbers, they're all slightly different, but that's enough to confuse the search engines, and they go, well, is that all the same business, or is that 3 different Bobs with 3 different plumbing businesses?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so that's just about getting your online footprint and making it clear that you are a legitimate business.
And what you're saying as well, ensuring consistency.
Absolutely. Consistency in the way you reference your business name, the address that you use, if you have a physical address, and just keeping that as consistent as possible. Now, ideally in those other listings, you've also included those phrases that you're targeting, those search phrases you're targeting, to make sure that the same impression is being given of what your business is about across each of those areas.
Yeah, and I'm sure we could to have a whole session on itself around how backlinking and
Oh, yeah.
Being guests on other websites and things like that. Well, let's leave that for another day.
That is entirely another session, yes.
Last but not least, number 5.
Okay, number 5, this is the other one, is just to go the distance, and that is to give your website a little bit of love over time. I recently had an experience, actually. I had bought something over the phone and online from a business, and then I went to go and pick it up from the business. So I typed into Google Maps the business, and it came up, and I got there a completely different business. They hadn't updated their Google My Business address listing. So that is a simple thing that a lot of businesses won't do. Now, had that been a restaurant or a cafe, I might not have bothered to go further. Likely it was replaced by another restaurant or cafe, and I would have gone there. So that person's just lost a customer. So that's a simple way to give it some love. I mean, ideally you want to be adding some content to your website, updating the content that's on there. So just every quarter or every 6 months, with articles and contents for a small business, once a month, posting a little article, maybe tips and tricks that are relevant to your industry, a common problem that might have come up with you that your customers have faced in the last month or so. Focus that around an article. Again, to be really effective, you should have done that keyword research, the key phrase research, and make sure that there's some interest in it. Because if there's not a great deal of interest in it, then it's not going to be worthwhile, because there's not a lot of people looking for it. What's the point of giving them something they're not looking for?
Yeah.
So, doing content, that can be a time-consuming thing, but digital agencies definitely help with that sort of SEO, ongoing SEO, and can procure that for you. So if you decide that you want to target, for example, roof restorations when you've just been a roof tiler, then, put up a few articles about roof restoration or questions people ask about it.
Excellent. So 5 really simple things that we can look at the start, but obviously with each of those segments, there's a little bit of knowledge and expertise to be able to execute them well. So I know anyone out there that has a website and wants to be able to improve its performance, you offer a free review of their website as well, an audit.
Yeah, we'd love to help, and just make sure that, there's 2 reasons for that. One, you don't know what you don't know. So if you think that your website's working and you're getting some customers, that's great. You don't know if you're missing out, I suppose, on more customers. So we offer a free site audit as a service to people, small businesses, because we want to help everyone grow. 2, we want to make sure that before we take someone on, that we can actually add value. So, if we've done the site audit and say, well, actually, your site's doing pretty well, or, in the case of the fellow I had here recently, an appliance repair guy, he said, I'm fully booked. I couldn't take more customers. So for him, there's not a lot of sense to doing a lot more to his website because there's only one of him and he's already fully booked. So, those are the sorts of considerations for us that go into that site audit. Getting a bit of information about your goals, but figuring out whether there's room to improve.
Absolutely, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Sharon. I think that even for myself, it's just going through and reviewing the websites that we have and to look at, how effective it is from an SEO point of view. But again, it sounds like definitely it's not something, if you're wanting to utilize your website as an asset and a marketing tool, there is continuous work that you have to look at in terms of SEO.
I do think it's not just a set and forget sort of asset, and it can really be an asset when you think of the end game for many businesses, and that is to on-sell the business as a going concern. It would be a very rare buyer, I'd suggest, in today's market that says, oh, you don't have a website. Well, that's okay. That would be the first thing that they'd be adding, or, they'd be asking for traffic statistics on it. Yeah. Particularly as we're still going through periods of lockdown intermittently, it's more and more important for businesses, because if they don't have that online presence and an effective one, they just lose business when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl.
Better website designs. If anyone's keen to really improve the performance of their website, please get in touch with Sharon. Have a bit of a website audit. You'll most likely uncover a lot of things that you're missing out on from your website.
We'd like to certainly help as many as we can, and so if you just want to have a chat, give us a call, and that door's always open.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you take care of yourself, Sharon. Thank you for joining me on Virtual Coffee. Yeah, and anyone else out there, feel free to drop us a little comment, and the live section, reach out to Sharon as well. Have a good week.
Great.
Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.